So welcome guys. Today I'll be showing you how to set up GitHub. I'll be showing you how to create an account on GitHub, set up your username and password on your local machine, either Windows, Mac or Linux. That's after installing Git to your machine. So Git is a powerhouse behind GitHub. Git is a language that's used while you're using GitHub. So Git is the power engine behind GitHub. You can use Git as a language to push your code and store it safely on GitHub. Because as you know, or I can just tell you that GitHub is a version control system where you can actually store your code in a safe space on the internet. You can store it as public or private. Public if you want it to be open source and anyone can use your code and anyone can see it, or you can choose to be private where only you can see it. To sign up on GitHub, you just go to their website. I typed GitHub, you click join GitHub. As I'm recording this, it's 2020, so this is how the GitHub website looks like when you are signing up. So I typed in my username, my email address and my password, and I have to verify if I'm a human being. Yeah, it's what they ask us every day to do. I don't know if it helps, but I think it does, to keep away robots. So I choose to sign up and I select what kind of work I do. I'm a software engineer, how much programming experience I have, just a little. I'm still learning. There's no end to learning. You learn till you die. And then what do I plan to use GitHub for? I want to learn to code. I also want to learn Git and GitHub. And then the languages I'm interested in, and I complete the sign up. Good. Okay, I still have an error here. Or the email address I registered with, I had not created it, so I'll just create it and then we'll skip to the next step of this video, which is verifying your email address. So verify my email address for my new account. And yeah, that's how it goes. So it can ask you to create a repo to start you off. So I'll type it HTML basics. It will be a public repo. You don't want to initialize readme and create repo. And just like that, you are signed up. For the next part, I'll show you how to install GitHub on your local machine. Well, in this section, we're going to install GitHub on our computers. For Windows, I'm going to show you three procedures. For Windows, for Mac, and for Linux, Ubuntu, the one I'm currently using. So for Windows, you just go to their website, which is https://git.scm.com. I'll put the links in the description. So when you go to this website, you follow the prompts and you install git bash on your actual machine. That's it for Windows, basically. For Mac, I'll show you two methods. The first method is using Git for Mac installer. So you go to this website. I'll still give the link in the description. It's sourceforge.net. So you go there, follow the prompts to install Git on your machine. The second way is if you have Homebrew installed on your Mac, you just type, this is a simple way. If you have Brew installed on your Mac, you can Google how to install Brew. After installing it, you just go and type brew install git. This is on your command line. You type brew install git, and if I may show you how to open a command line on Mac, you just type you just press the command key. The command key, you press plus space, and then you type terminal and select terminal from there on. Command space and then type terminal on the search bar, and then you can select the command line from there. And then type brew install git and you're good to go. For you to check if Git has installed, you just type git version, git and then space and then 2 hyphens and then version. And then the output will be the version number of the Git that's currently installed. And if there's a version number, you're good to go. The last and final step I'll show you is installing it on Ubuntu Linux. So for this one, it's pretty simple. You just go to your terminal, type sudo apt update. It will, this is to update first all your repositories before pulling data and installing it. So when you type this, it will update your system. It will prompt you for a password. Please input your password and then press enter, and then it will update the system. After updating the system, you just type again sudo apt install git. This command over here, sudo apt install git. This will install GitHub, Git, not GitHub. It will install Git on your machine, and you're good to go. Again, to check if the installation was done completely and successfully, you just type git space 2 version, and if there's a version number displayed there, it means GitHub was installed successfully and you're good to go. For this step, I'll show you how to set up your username and password on Git on your machine from Git. So first, I'll just check which version of Git I have installed in my machine, and to check if it installed correctly actually. So you see here, it gives me the version number. That means Git installed correctly. The next thing I'm going to do is just check if is just set up the now username and password. This I'll do by typing git config 2 hyphens and then global space user.name, and then I'll type in my username. It's code with Arnold. Okay, I'll just add in the hyphens which were there. Code with Arnold. Yeah, and just like that, you've set up the username. And then again, I need to configure my email. It's the same step, global user dot email, and then it's gmail.com. Just like that, you have set up Git on your machine and you're good to go. Check if you've set up your Git username and email address correctly. To check that, you type git config -l, and it will show you what you just entered, your username and your password and your email, So for this step, we are going to create a folder, and we are going to actually add a file inside it and then push it to GitHub. So if you're on Windows or Mac, you can just create a folder, then where you normally create a folder using your computer, maybe on the desktop. But I'm going to be using the command line to create the folder. So I'll just cd into that folder directory, and then I create a folder with the name HTML basics as the one we had earlier created, and then I again cd into that directory HTML basics, and then I now create a file. It will be a HTML file. If you're on Windows or Mac, you can still just create the file. You can either use the command line as I'm using on Mac, but on Windows you have to create the file manually. You just create an index.html file inside the folder you just created right now. So after creating the file, I want to open it in a text editor. You can just if you're on Windows, you can just right click on the file and then open it in whatever text editor you have on your computer. I'll be using Visual Studio Code to open this, and that's how it's done on a Linux machine. So as you can see, the folder has opened here, this index.html file. So I'm going to type in a few HTML codes just a random HTML code. Let me show you a cool way to do it in Visual Studio Code. If you want to get all the boilerplate code just typed for you on the screen, you just type HTML and then you pick the HTML5, this one here. When you click enter, voila, you have all this boilerplate code done for you. And so for this, I just do a heading, a H1, no, not there. Just a minute. So I'll just do H1. H1 means a heading, and I'll type in my first website. Then I'll go to the next line. I create a paragraph and say this is my very first website. Yep. And then I just save it. If you're in Visual Studio Code, you just have the save. You have the save button there. If you're in Visual Studio Code, you have a terminal right at the bottom of your screen. You can just drag it with your mouse button. So I want now to show you how we are going to push the code to GitHub. This is the actual code we just written in this folder, HTML basics. What I forgot to tell you is that for you to initialize Git in this folder, you have to actually type git init in your command line, and in the specific directory, which is this the one you just created, and you put a file inside it, the index.html file. So in this directory, I'm going to type git init to initialize Git in the directory, and then it says you initialize the empty Git repository here. So now our Git repository is initialized successfully. What you're going to do here now is to add a link to GitHub and to the repository where you want to push this code to. I know that sounds complicated, but it's just simple. I'm going to show you in a minute. So to do that, let's first go and copy the link of where we want to push this code to. I'll just go to my browser. I'm using Firefox, to github.com, Firefox, because here is where I want to go and copy the link where I can actually push the code to. I log in. No, I'll just sign in. My email address is stick. So once I log into GitHub, I go to this specific repo which I created. Remember when we were signing up, it prompted us to create a repo. So I click on that repo, and I come and copy this link, because this is the link to where we want to push our code to. If I click here, it's copied on my clipboard. So now I can go back to Visual Studio Code, and or if you're using the terminal, you can just go back to your terminal, and now here you need to paste that URL which you just copied from GitHub, and then before you paste it, you must type git add remote origin. We are adding a remote URL where we are going to push our code to, and we are naming this URL origin. The origin here stands for the name of this URL, we'll be calling this origin many times when you're pushing code to GitHub. So if you do git add remote origin and press enter, okay, let's it's supposed to be git remote add origin, not git add remote. It's git remote add origin, and then you paste the URL which you just copied, and then type enter. And then if you want to know if the remote added correctly, you do git remote -v, and then here it goes. It shows you actually that the URL which you just entered. So after adding the remote repository, what you're actually gonna do is commit the changes that we made to the this file HTML basics, and add them, and we first add them with git add, and then dot, to add all the files to the version control, which is git, to make sure the changes you made are registered here. After doing git add, you now commit that change. You do git commit -m, and then you do speech marks. To commit is actually to write a message showing you the changes you are doing at this particular moment, so that later on when you come back and read your commits, you can actually know what you're doing at this stage, the exact change you are making, and why you are making it. That's only applicable if you write a good commit message, as I'm going to show you. So I do write commit messages this way. I initialize it with this commit will, and then I type enter, and I press enter, and then this is how I type my commits actually. So one, it will add the initial boilerplate for HTML. And then if I'm done with the message, I just close the quotation marks. Or if I'm not done with the message, you can press enter and write 2, 3, 4, up to the number of messages you want. But for me, I'm done at 1. So I press enter, and voila. So the commit is added, and this change is actually added to Git. If you want to see if the change is added, you do git log, and it shows you the commit, its commit time, it's the date, and the actual commit message, which is this. So now that you're done with the commit message, we want to push this code up to GitHub. To do that, simple, just type git push origin, which was the name of the remote URL, master, which is the branch we are currently on, and you press enter. So it will prompt you to enter your username, and mine is code with Arnold. Here is where you type the initial username which you used to set up Git with, and the password, you also type your password. Don't worry if you're typing and nothing is showing on the screen. That's how it is with the command line. So once you're done, voila, it's pushed our code to GitHub. And if you want to know if the code is actually in GitHub, I'll just show you in a minute. So if I go to my browser and I refresh this page, it actually shows you that file, and it was pushed 2 minutes ago. Well, this is good, because now we know how to push our code to GitHub. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I'll be adding much more videos in the series. For our next video, I'm looking forward to setting up this HTML basics and creating actually a beautiful website from scratch. If you're a beginner from scratch, we'll be creating a new website. That's all for now, and have yourself a good day. Thank you.